Coming to you from the M&M Exterior Studio in Nooksville, Virginia, this is Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle, the introvert's extrovert. She talks to people so you don't have to. For now.
Even right now, since we are based in the Prince William County area, I've opened it up to children's authors from Maryland, Virginia, DC, and West Virginia to be able to come on the show because we're all in proximity.
Yeah. For now until people start flying in for it.
Oh, yes.
So, just like this show, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, you know, they're able to see that, it's not just some, celebrity author from that needs to be flown out, really.
Yeah.
It's the authors that are in my neighborhood.
Your friends' moms.
Exactly.
Or dads.
We have Catherine Goddard. She's actually going to be on next week's show.
Steve, right?
Yes.
That's so funny.
And she's not going to be reading Steve. She's going to be reading her first book.
Oh, her first book?
Yes, Steve just came out, so we're going to have her back.
For anyone not listening, there was a construction
Steve's a crane.
Yeah,
yes.
A construction equipment that took on a life of its own on social media. So now there's a children's book. So.
Yeah. And, she was able to get that. But, I didn't know her. I didn't know that she was a children's book author as well. She's put out poems, but she has this children's book called The Furbly Furled. And she's going to be reading that. Check out the YouTube channel and get that recording. And we also have another author that's going to be coming on the show that he was born and raised in Manassas, still lives in Manassas, and he has actually 3 books, but the book that he's going to be reading, it's about, the environment and, it's cutting down trees to make houses and everything like that. So, it kind of teaches that lesson to children about respecting your environment. And it's such a great book. And he's right here. Yeah. And these children that are coming to the show and even watching it on YouTube can say, I could be an author because he lives around the street, down the block from me. Or, I've seen him in Target. I've seen him seen him around the neighborhood. Yeah. So it takes out that
mystery.
That mystery and that, you have to be, this famous person to be able to be an author. Yeah. Like, hey, you went to school, right? You took a writing class, right?
Yeah. Start writing.
Exactly. You start writing. If that is your passion, you can absolutely do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what we really want to teach kids with that.
I think that's great.
When you guys were talking about touching of hair.
Do you feel the same way with your bald head?
Well, first of all, Laverne.
Oh, yeah.
I learned that from Laverne.
One of Jeremy's work friends.
Yeah, and that was the first time
she's a friend. Let me add that, Laverne, because you're my friend too. But meaning that's how we met her.
So a woman I used to work with, Laverne, she'd probably be like, I'm no woman, I'm a girl. But, she taught me you don't touch an African-American woman's hair without an invitation.
Yeah.
That was also a caveat. But then I started thinking about it while you guys were talking, and I realized it's weird. It's just weird for anybody to touch anybody's hair.
Yes, exactly.
I'm bald. I'm bald. And it's weird if somebody just walks up to me and touches my hair.
Head.
I'm like, hey, Samson, you weren't supposed to touch his hair.
Samson, yes. Yeah.
Right?
So.
Well, that's why
it's different when the kids come up and they're like rubbing it. And they're like, "Oh, that feels cool," because it's like,
I tell my kids, nope, because I'm like, seriously, if I'm going to go somewhere or whatever.
It messes it up.
Like, why are you going to mess up my hair? It doesn't just go back. It's not like a spray.
I remember one time
mine doesn't get messed up.
Yeah. My dad has the same. My dad's always talking about they change his part, and he's bald too. He's like, I had to move my part. But I remember one time at church, my friend's daughter was standing in front of me, and I just started touching her hair, and I was so embarrassed because I thought it was my I don't know if it reminded me of my daughter, but it was like an out-of-body experience where I was like, oh, and then I did it and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I just like, creepy. It felt like I'm being creepy. And what made me think like, I don't know. I think, I hope I was just in mom mode of like, oh, it's so
I think
pretty.
like with moms and, with kids, they'll go and touch their hair. Like I remember when my kids were babies, I would always like rub their head and that's how they would go to sleep and everything like that. And like even my nieces, they're teenagers. Like my niece's hair is like even curlier than mine, and her hair, if I touch it, it's not gonna mess up. But if I go, she will do the bob and weave. I'm like, girl, I used to comb your hair when you were younger.
She's like, good at it.
But there's definitely something to the texture. I never thought about that before because the kids will feel, touch the short hair and they're like, ooh, that feels cool. But that curiosity, it
goes back to the common sense. It should be common sense, but why do people feel that they can?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other topic. I think that we could probably get into like a whole sub conversation, but
yeah. That was the next thing I was going to bring up.
Oh, gosh.
It is probably a whole nother conversation. But I got to thinking it was about not bringing up race and everyone just like me. And, that makes sense. But I'm like, the first difference I think that kids are aware of is gender. Are you a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's got to be like the biggest difference, I think, for kids.
Yeah.
Just the initial.
Oh, yeah. No, I can, like, a couple weeks ago, because I have a cutoff for especially my boys. I'm like, okay, you don't come in mommy's room anymore without knocking. And a couple weeks ago, my 4-year-old, he comes in my room and I'm getting dressed and he's just there. And I'm like, what are you looking at? I'm like, boy, get out.
Yeah. Privacy.
He's like, and then he comes, he's like, Mommy, why don't you look like I'm like, because I'm not a boy. He's like, why don't you look like a boy? I'm like, because I'm not a boy.
Because I'm not one.
Easy.
You could do like a redirect, like, let's talk about race.
You're like,
that might be easier.
That's exactly. Maybe I should go there. Actually, I was going to ask you about that because I remember last time you mentioned a couple things with not thinking about your race.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like with the books, with the topics, now all of a sudden you're in this platform for diversity. How do you feel about that? And with race getting brought up more as being part of the conversation, good, hard, neutral?
Well, I always, if I feel like someone is coming to me and they're coming with a race question or, they're talking about someone that's big in the Black community, I'm like, okay, all right, calm down. I am the United Nations. Like, my family comes from all over. I have all, different types of people in my family. I'm like, if you look at my family, you're going to be like, okay, all right. But honestly, most of us are from Jamaica. Like my brother-in-law looks like he comes from Pakistan, but he's Jamaican. Oh. So, we have everybody in our family. So I don't get touchy when it comes to race, Is that why maybe it felt that you didn't want to make it about race then? Because that wasn't your story? Because your story is more about total diversity? Yeah. And so it used to kind of feel a little awkward to me to talk about race because there's so many things that I know, I would say I identify as Black. Yeah. But like that's what you can see on the outside. Yeah. But I'm from Jamaica where, across the street was living my father's best friend. He was Chinese, but we didn't, and our prime minister was white. And
did you grow up in Jamaica?
I left Jamaica when I was 6.5.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I, in my formative years, that's what I grew up seeing. So it wasn't until I moved to the United States that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm Black. That wasn't a question when I was living in Jamaica. So, and some of the experiences, even the friends that have had in the United States, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the 6th grade, my family moved to, I wouldn't say a majority white neighborhood because it was Flatbush, but my street was 2 blocks away from Flatbush, and the entire street was white. It was like us and another family that we were the only black families that was on the street. And, after time it changed and it became more diverse, but I didn't always feel like it was my place to talk about race because I had such a different experience than a lot of others.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that just reiterates that all of our experiences are so unique.
Yes.
And I had said before about not wanting to treat people like the poster child for something,
Yep.
That's just why I like building relationships, because I worry about sticking my foot in my mouth, but I want to build bridges and build relationships and connections and things like that. But, being mindful of that we're not just one thing.
Yeah.
And that, our life experience is so unique and whatnot. So I've seen stuff where people say that we shouldn't say things like we don't see color because that's not reality. And I was thinking, for me, the way I grew up, because I was so diverse, meaning like I honestly didn't think about that until I think even college, when I realized that just my life was becoming more.
Well, I would say even with that, from my experience, when people say you don't see color, I would say for me, that was, I don't see my color. Because if I'm around everybody else that is not the same skin color as me, but they're treating me just like they treat everybody else, like I told you the last time, I was working at a company and I was there for about 2 years, and I literally stood up from my cubicle and looked around, and I'm like, oh, I'm the only black one here. But that was never something that came up. We never spoke about race. I never felt that I was being treated differently than anybody. And it was just that kind of realization, because actually I went up on another floor, same company, and there were more black people on that floor, but I was the only black one that was actually on that floor. I didn't feel any different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, like, it was, I don't know why, if it was just a realization out of the blue, but I had realized that like my best friends up until like high school, and even actually through high school, were all different. We're all a different race than I was. And I just didn't even think about it until I think I got to college, and majority of my friends were probably, Caucasian. But I had some diversity of girlfriends too. But it's one of those things, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And that's why as an adult now, wanting to hear everyone's stories, because just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that their experiences were the same, and that I want to be sensitive to that. I don't know if that makes sense. But
well, I saw something, I think it was on Facebook. It was, but saw a quote a few weeks ago, and it said, laughter is a universal language. So if you're all friends, if you're all kikiing it with each other, nobody's looking at anybody's race at that time.
Yeah. Yep.
If we're all having a good time, we're all having a good time. If someone is having a sucky time, if someone is feeling down and you're feeling for that person, no matter what, it doesn't matter what your race is. You have empathy and you have sympathy for them. And it's only sometimes when you go back in your car or you go back home and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
But like you said, you build the relationship.
I forgot all about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, but because you're building the relationship. And so you care about what they care about. I mean, we were just saying to someone earlier, it's like, you could hurt me and I'll forgive you, but don't come after my family or my friends, And so the more you build that tight relationship with someone, I feel like then their experiences, you do have a heart for them, no matter what area of life they're in. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anything else, Jeremy, as we wrap it up?
Yeah. One last thing. Are you going to write a song for Pretty Hair?
Well,
it
you know
talks
what?
about it. Her theme
Yeah.
song, it's in there because she talked about the hair.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I got it covered.
Yeah, that's why when I heard it, I was like, oh, new verses.
Uh-huh.
New verses.
Yeah, so, I can go to a school or go to, wherever and read both books and have the same song.
You're an
Nice.
accidental author. You're an accidental songwriter, an accidental singer,
Playwright.
playwright. Like, girl, you
Poet.
like
Yeah.
what?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, it's like God had a
TV
plan.
show? Yes, one at a time.
Oh, yes, I'm claiming that TV
One
show.
at-
I appreciate
Let's
your
do
using
it.
your talents.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's awesome. Well, thank you again for coming. So awesome.
Thank you.
Coming
Thanks
back.
for
Please
having
come
me.
again
Will do. Yeah.
on the next book or
Uh-huh.
sooner.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for now.
Thanks for listening to Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle. Music provided by twinmusicom.org. Song titled Night at the Dance Hall. Sound editing by me, Jeremy Spittle. A special thanks to our studio sponsor, M&M Exteriors. Visit their website at mmexteriors.com for all of your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. Visit our website at flushingitout.com and be sure to subscribe. This has been a Spitfire production.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.